Okay, Kapper here. It's the morning of December 11th, and this next property, as I mentioned in my last video, I'm going to take you through buying a property from start to finish. We found the one. Okay, I'm going to lay it out to you. I wasn't sure if I wanted to lay out like how much this costs and everything, but I really need to. If you want to be educated and have some good information in your back pocket on when you want to go buy a property, you need to know this stuff. Unless this is just real world stuff. So our objective right now is we're looking for a property that's acreage, and it's going to be a good investment to diversify what we've got left that we didn't cash in for this home, for the down payments here. Now, we've done this quite a bit, so we are fortunate in that this loan that we're looking at for this property, we are only having to put down 10%. So the asking price, it's 211 acres, is $699 is the asking price, okay? So we are literally looking for a commercial loan to finance 90% of it. That comes out to roughly a $4,000 payment, which we can't afford. So then you ask, why would you be looking at that property? Well, here's the kicker, the investment value. This property has 175 acres enrolled in a government program, CRP. I'm not going to go into what it is. Look it up on CRP. It's basically preserving the land so it's not being farmed. So the 175 acres in CRP is paying $28,000 a year, guaranteed by the government for a 10-year contract. And those get renewed pretty much automatically. The price can change, but they'll get renewed. So you do the math, $28,000 a year income is, I believe, $2,500 a month income. So now your $4,000 out-of-pocket payment is down to $1,500, and it is a fantastic hunting parcel. So if I get a hunting lease, let's say I get a group of 5 or 6 guys to lease it for $5 or $6 or $10,000 a year, now you've added another probably $500 a month onto that. So now you're out of pocket literally somewhere in the vicinity of $800 a month. So now you see the investment value of it. For $800 a month, we could be purchasing a 211 acre parcel of high value land in big buck country in Illinois. Okay, and there's other ways of bringing income in off of this property also. I hope to maybe get some guys in there that'll do some videotaping for hunting. Okay, so now you see the end run there. Can we afford it just buying a piece of land like this? No, absolutely not. But with that generating income like that, that is the whole goal here. So let's go take a look at this property, boots on the ground, and I'll show you exactly how it's going to roll. All right, we're rolling in the front gate of the next property we're checking out here. It's pretty much looking like I expected. This is all CRP ground though. Got Justin and Curtis ready to roll to check this place out. Time to roll, man. All right, right on the edge of this is a cemetery. Probably gonna have loud neighbors in there, man, rambunctious.
So that 0.13 acres is this little rectangle right here.
Okay.
But according to this, it's owned by this property owner. It just did the occupation by cemetery is how they describe it.
All right.
See in here, even when they had this, they referenced that trailer there by where.
Nice little swale here. This would be an awesome pond.
hidey hole.
This would be a huge pond right here. Easily made.
There she goes. A couple of them. Oh, wow.
We're gonna go take a walk on this ridge up here. Picked a few deer out of here a few minutes ago. Yeah, it was a spike, and Justin thought it was a booner. Okay, some real good sign already. We got a nice crossing that's being used. I see it over there on that side. Keep in mind comparing this to that last one we saw. Okay, there's some fresh deer beds. You can clearly see up on this ridge. There's another one right there.
There's your big oak spot back there.
Yeah, on the neighbor's property. These trees are scrubby in here. Really not much value. There's looks like maybe one oak right there. But you hinge cut this, make it even better bedding.
It's already a good bedding ridge. I see beds all over the place up here.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, and this property is, according to Justin, fenced all the way around, which is really good news. You definitely want that. Yeah, there's an old buck rub right there. You know, the fence doesn't have to be fantastic, but it's a huge bonus because it would cost you tens of thousands of dollars to fence a property. And then you also want to see what's right all over the lines, you know. Is there 2 deer towers right here and a hunting shack? Things like that. So, as I mentioned earlier, you're looking for, here's the fence right here. And there's the neighbor. Right there. Basically 30 yards off the line. He's definitely shooting onto you over here. You know, so you got line pressure over here for sure in one of the few wooded spots on this property. And he's definitely shooting onto your property over here. There's no doubt about that. You know, and here's the effect it has. You got a nice spot here that you could clear this out and put a really nice food source in here. But then you got him hunting your food plot right there over the line. That's definitely a drawback. Line hunters, man, hate them. No ethics. Okay, most of them. Some of them are okay if you definitely aren't hunting your neighbor's property. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely traveling through here.
They're staging in here and they're bedded. I wouldn't even put a plot down here.
Well, no, not with your neighbor having a deer tower right there.
Let's save this for bedding. Take you some food plots out on the edge where they filter
Right.
out.
And then
Yep.
you could hunt either side.
Yep.
It kind of feels like it could be alive.
He's probably trying to hibernate, man.
He ain't doing a very good job of it.
Nope. Justin found some deer here, probably from the neighbor's gut shot or something. Belly hair. But these swales here are really nice for deer movement. And as we just talked about, if I were to put food sources, it would be way out here in the CRP area. Up here, there was a main pre-crossing, which is where all the incredible mature buck pictures were on trail cam the last several years. Okay, here's some of the trail cam pictures that they had on the advertisement. Look at this one here. That's a handsome young man with that beautiful buck. But the thing I look for on trail cam pictures is there's one thing that's unique with all of these pictures is they are all during the daylight. And these are all mature big bucks. So that tells me that this is a core living area for mature bucks, which is something that is very important. So the property has the potential already, in addition to the CRP income, of being a great hunting property. So that is another facet of the investment point on this property, is to know that it's a good hunting property, but I can make it 10 times better yet with my skill.
A little close to the, I'd bet a little close to that.
There's a ladder stand up there, lock on.
For the evening, if they're stage deaf and you
If
use
they're
the-
bedded right here, I don't think you can get in there.
Well,
Almost like you, I don't want to hang back just a touch.
he's just hunting that
Go
field
down
edge
another
there.
100 yards.
The creek is running here. That's a good sign. I don't believe it's a year-round creek, but if it's, 8-9 months out of the year got water, that's a good thing. And walking a creek is a good thing to narrow down deer crossings because they stick out a lot more. So that's one way to kind of get somewhat of an idea on how much deer movement you have, especially around creeks like this. Look how pretty this creek is over here. And this is sand. This is the first sand. There's some tracks there. Here's some more here. Oh, here's a good crossing right here. This is precisely what you're looking for. You got fresh, heavy tracks. And keep in mind, all the CRP has been mowed. But take a look at that rub right there. Right here at this creek crossing. That's some serious rub action there. And they're down in this very protected valley. You know, anywhere in here you could drop a small food plot if you want. They're traveling the creek and obviously crossing it right here. That's a really nice crossing. This creek is very pretty. Wow, that's definitely fresh. Beautiful. That's a good one right there.
Good spot up on top of these ridges.
You mean for a gun stand?
I would plant some standing pines.
Oh, okay.
Keep these valleys brushed like this, or all grasses. Put your stand of pines on top, let that get thickened up over 5 or 6 years. And dedicate this area. It's all bedding area, bedding and staging. I'd stay out of it hunting.
So you wouldn't consider a food plot down in here?
Not to hunt over. I mean, you could put some along these lines to funnel them out to where your stands and destination plot is.
Yeah.
You know, like this. Keep it just like this, maybe with the mowed lane. Plant you some clover right here and catch them filtering out in the evenings to go to the destination plot. With these hills and cover right here, be a perfect.
All right, we just walked like 30 feet from that last creek crossing. Oh, good. Curtis just said he's seen a couple of oaks in there. I've seen, yeah, I've seen 1 or 2, but it's mostly junk trees. But look here, you got another creek crossing, and there's 3 trees rubbed down right there. I mean, when this is grown up, this is incredible cover in here. Curtis just saw a deer right through this draw. He said it was a big body, but couldn't tell, but that's a good sign. I mean, we're seeing a lot of deer sign here, and right now most of the CRP is mowed, which I would never mow CRP until like January or February. I mean, it's great cover. Here's another creek. Couple more deer. Pair of does. And there's their trail cam right there.
You know, this sand?
Yeah, it sure is sand. I can't believe it. More sand. Man,
There is a sand down here.
I might be able to scab some of this for the Kapper beach. See if you see any buck tracks in here. There's a big ass dog track. That's a no-no. Some deer tracks. There's a coyote track. Probably right there. I don't see any buck tracks though. And surprisingly, right now we cannot hear the interstate at all. Down here, not at all. Here comes Justin.
from the bottom.
No, it ain't, Curtis. That's a whole new group.
Yeah, that is. That's a the other ones were 150s. I scored up there.
We saw some more deer going across the CRP.
There's more out there too, standing.
I got a lot to teach him.
Where, in that black stuff?
Yeah, or see that black stuff? See them deer? See now that's another
yeah.
group.
Oh, is that a buck? No,
That's
them are
another deer.
tails. Them are tails.
No,
No, that one's a booner.
that one's yeah.
Yeah.
There's that
There's
165
the
in
reeler.
the back right there.
Yeah, they're booners. All I can see is white tails.
See, I'm catching on.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
But, you know, we're comparing this to that last 40, and we've seen like 60 times more deer sign, which is really good.
Which two of them may be getting wiped out here in a minute. Just listen for breaks.
Yeah,
You
go
gotta
over
be
the
careful
interstate.
jumping deer up here.
I think I see 12. Out there's 15.
Yeah, listen to the property, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's at least 7 that I saw. Listen to these guys. Oh, we're up to 30 so far.
Well, you already, by the time you got out, half of them already went down the hill.
All right, so if that's legit, I saw 7, so there might have been 8 or 9, right?
Plus the 12 we've already seen. That's 20.
Yeah. So we're up to 2. Oh, there's a deer. There's one up there. That's got to be a buck. He's a loner.
Yeah, do you see it? Oh my gosh, that's a shooter.
Look at the mass on him.
I don't know if I'm getting them or not because it's bright out.
There's 2 of them now, 3.
Oh yeah, there they are.
They're
3.
Picking them up. There goes another one right down here.
Holy smackerels.
There's another deer just stood up right down there.
So how many trip levers are you hitting here to release them?
There goes another deer just got up by itself. 2 of them over there. 3 of them.
So guys, when you're looking at hunting land, a good what? A good doe?
No, buck.
A nice buck?
Yeah.
But anyways, guys, when you're talking about CRP land and you're looking at hunting land, people underestimate this stuff. When you let this grow 1 season, 2 seasons, this is phenomenal deer cover, CRP ground. All right, Curtis saw a really decent buck dive down into this stuff, but this is another creek thicket down here. And it's hard to see, but the property line is going to be them tall trees back there. So this is going to be a great, well, it already is a great sanctuary where you don't ever go in there, or maybe you hunt the edges. But this is going to hold a lot of deer down in this creek bottom. It's just thick, nasty brush. Not a whole lot of value as far as timber or anything, but it is great deer cover in there. You know, and if you're using tower blinds out here, you park one on top of a knob and you build food plot around it so you can combo bow hunt and gun hunt. So you could put, let's say you put a tower blind on this knob, I'm standing 20 yards from it, and you food plotted this, and then you make some shooting lanes into the woods for shotgun season. Now we're gonna follow the property line that we just pointed to where that buck dove into this cover. I didn't realize they had a road up in here. So if you look here to the left, this is impenetrable. Your forestry biologists hate this stuff, but it's extremely valuable for wildlife cover. They're more into the native hardwoods. I know that because I've met with them in Missouri and here in Illinois. But this is the stuff you want to keep thick and nasty for sanctuary. Excuse me, for sanctuary. So you could see right here, I got a deer trail right here that kind of winds through that. I'm sure there's multiple deer trails. And down here, like I said, look at your property lines. Down here, you got no pressure. I mean, you got just an open field on the neighbor's property.
We just came through this crossing of this creek, so we're looking at this back. There's about 15 acres here.
And this is all wooded brush down here.
Yeah, they didn't clean any of it up to my knowledge. This is never mowed it. You know, some of that other up there, they keep the easy stuff mowed.
That trail come out somewhere kind of where we were?
Where we were.
kinds of scrapes, but Justin doesn't want to stop and let me videotape them. He's a businessman. He's got things to do.
He just told me he wasn't buying the farm, so I'm going to cut him off.
So, okay.
Your ride's over. Get out. You have to walk back.
I gotta walk all the way back?
All the way back. It's only 3/4 of a mile.
And here's a giant holler. This is what borders up to the interstate here. You can see the fence line continuing. Again, just that's really good. And Justin's not sure. Could you see one or no going that way?
It's this fence that keeps going.
Okay.
You have to walk.
Well, look at this holler down here. Wow. It's almost straight down. All right, I had to borrow Curtis's phone cam because mine died out already. Just wanted to show you a few of these rubs and scrapes here. This whole road was littered with them. This is what you want to see. Lots of these. Matter of fact, this is still fresh. I mean, very fresh here. You can see the buck tracks in there. And I could see inside of there, I could see all kinds of rubs in there. Just like this one right here. And there's another one up there on the left. Right, here's a nice pond up by the front. Depending on the CRP ground, you could easily make this a very big one. I mean, look at that draw right there. Although that's probably CRP, they probably won't let you. But you do at least have a pond here and probably will hold fish. All right, me and Curtis are catching lunch, talking strategy about an offer coming, hopefully tonight. All right, Kapper here. It's the evening of the day we looked at that big CRP property. And we weighed out all the numbers. It's on the very, very, very high end of the pricing structure. However, it generates a ton of income on a brand new CRP contract. We started out significantly lower, about 100,000 lower than what they were asking. They were a little bit insulted, but Justin did his job and said, hey, look. So they came down like 15,000 on the first go around. So Mrs. K and I went over the numbers, compared that property to another property. We're midstream in negotiating right now. They're at 685 and we started at 585. So there's a large gap in there between, and we really didn't want to go a whole lot above 6. But after weighing it out, we think it's worth it. And of course, Justin can provide the comps of other properties that have sold in that area. And this is a beautiful, beautiful property. So this is not a diamond in the rough. This is one that you got to pay full price for to reap the reward later on. So hopefully we'll get some sleep because it's pretty much dead for the night. They're probably tossing it over. Justin's trying to find out if we can agree on something midway between basically 685 and 585 and see what they're willing to do and what we're willing to do. And then from there we got to really work on the financing because we're not fully approved yet. The bank has to pull some strings and really go over our numbers and stuff, but we have a really good history financially. And these are the things that I talk about when you want to buy land. If you're willing to work for it and you establish a lot of credit, basically be responsible, that's all. No late mortgage payments, no late credit card payments, no defaults, those kind of things. So that's where it's at. We're going to hit the sack, hopefully get some sleep, and maybe tomorrow we'll have an answer on if we have. Right now it's verbal, but I've agreed that anything I agree to, it will be in writing by the end of the day on our part. So stay tuned, and this is a big, big step for us, but you can see the whole process, how it's going to unfold. All right, so here we are, 2 days later since we put in our first verbal offer. I've been texting back and forth with Justin, the realtor, trying to justify my position that they're asking way too much, and then he's justifying their position that you can't get this kind of return on income, blah, 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 which is mostly partly true, but it's a very high price tag. So yeah, a couple sleepless nights already, and of course the sellers, they're not in any hurry. They must be pretty well off. You know, someday maybe I'll be in that position where I have properties where I can pay cash for, but that's what I'm working towards anyways, maybe. But so yeah, I called Justin back like the second day this started, and I said, look, all right, we thought about it and we'll come up. So we last left at $100,000 apart between them and between us. And I made the suggestion to Justin, hey, right in between where we're at is 635, and we could do it. It'll be a stretch, but I think we could do it. And so we're waiting to hear a number back from them. This is really irritating when people do this. I mean, this is like, unless it's just they probably got multiple properties or whatever. This is like one of the biggest decisions of your life, and people should know what they want. So 2 days into waiting, that's what we're doing right now. Okay, Kapper here. Now it's Monday morning, and this is when it gets real. We went and looked at that parcel on Friday, and we've been verbally negotiating, and this is when it's time to, as they say, shit or get off the pot. It's the contract time. It's different this time though, because I know and I have a verbal handshake that we've come to an agreement. Doesn't always work that way. A lot of times people want it in writing first. That means that's a solid offer. Then they want a counter offer in writing. And then they want you to counter offer in writing, and then they will counter offer in writing, which to me is a waste of time, but a lot of people want to do that. So we verbally negotiated all weekend, and let me show you the contract. Whitetail Properties makes it super easy these days with digital documents. So I'll show you how you do it here. It's literally will take us seconds to digitally sign, and this contract will be on the way, and the buyers will do the same thing. So by the end of tonight, we may have a completed contract for this 211 acres. I've already contacted the banker to get started on the financial package because it is a big deal. There's a lot that goes into it, but the ball is now rolling. So let's take a look here. So here you have the first page of the contract. The lines above here, I'm not going to show you, basically says who's the buyer and who's the seller. Then you have the property description, and then you have the price, the earnest money. Now you get into meat and potatoes, you know, your contingencies, financing and so forth, because you can obviously, if your bank tells you they're not going to finance you, then you get out of the deal, you get your earnest money back. Right here, you got to put a down payment down right now, a check for $2,500. That shows it's good faith. But let me show you. Here's the signature. So all you do is you click that to sign, and it keeps going to the next page. Boom, boom. I'm not going to go through the whole contract. This is right here. This was important to me. Buyers shall have basically exclusive hunting rights at the beginning of the contract. So once they sign this contract, I get to use that property. So if I wanted to, and my back would allow me to, I could be bow hunting this tomorrow or the next day from here on out, and not even really legally owning it yet. But on hunting land, you should always ask for that. Because if that's one of the main reasons you're buying it, you're going to get immediate occupancy. So I'm not going to go through the whole contract. Okay, now like here is the survey. All right, you get to see the whole property, and this is one of the attachments, is the actual survey. Surveys are immensely important in today's day and age. I could make a video on properties gone bad just on surveys. I kid you not. And one of the homes we bought was literally partly on the neighbor's property once the survey happened. So surveys are important. So I'm going to just continue to sign through this. And then I'm going to send this email back to him. We'll have it signed, and then our end is done, and we got to do the banking stuff. So now we are keeping our fingers crossed on the financial end of things.
You got fields starting right there, so this would be a check out the other side of this, and look, it'd be a good place for a food plot and a stand.
All right.